Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's project, we're working on removing the electronic security lock from a Mercedes-Benz W204 steering column. Before I jump into the details on this project, please guys don't forget to subscribe and like. We're almost up to 500 subscribers on this channel, so I'd really appreciate your help. Alright, so my last video, if you watched, we had a 2009 Mercedes C300. It would not start. We determined that the electronic security lock on the steering column has failed. And in the last video, we removed the steering column from the vehicle. This device right here is the electronic security lock. And it is stuck in the lock position. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I'm going to remove this from the steering column by drilling a small little hole and using a pick to rotate the plastic dial inside there and get this to remove from the column. Now, a couple of things I want to discuss with you. You guys have some options on how to repair this. I'm going to go the cheapest option, which is the $10 option, and replace this motor. There's a motor, I ordered a new one. There's a motor inside this module that goes bad. And if I can remove that module off the steering column and carefully crack open the case and replace the motor, I'll be able to repair this at minimal cost. Now, if that option works, I am not going to reinstall the ESL into the column. I'm just going to zip tie it alongside it, because if this device ever fails again, I don't want to go through the hassle of removing the whole steering column. Basically, by replacing the motor in this ESL, I'm going to trick the car into thinking that the device is working and it's locking the steering column, but when in fact it's just locking thin air. Now, the con of that is that I'm no longer going to have a locking steering column. Now, what other options do you have? Well, you could go the OEM route, take it to a shop, get an OEM electronic security lock. You're going to pay the shop all the labor to remove this, to install a new one, put it all back into the car, and then these modules are not plug and play. So if you get a new one, I mean, even if you're doing this DIY, this module will need to be programmed to communicate with the car's key and the ignition. So you're going to pay a shop, even if you do this DIY, you'd have to tow the car over once you're done and have them program it all. Or you could just go the easiest route and the most expensive route and just tow it to a shop and have them do the whole job and program it. Here are the prices I got. On the low end from an independent shop, they wanted about $1,500. At the actual Mercedes dealer, they quoted me around $2,600, and it could possibly go more on that. Now, the other option is to go the emulator option. And that's where, once you remove this device off the steering column, you will need to send your key and the ignition module, the part that the key goes into, to an outfit that knows how to program Mercedes modules. And they're going to program up an emulator for you. And what that emulator is going to do is the wiring connector that goes into the ESL, well, that wiring connector is going to go into your emulator, and that emulator is going to trick the car into thinking that there's a working module there. Now, that if you go the emulator route, again, you're no longer going to have a locking steering column. I'm going to go the cheapest route, and I'm going to give it a shot. Once I remove this, I'm going to open up the module, open up the device, and try to change out the motor. If for some reason the PC board in here is fried, replacing this motor isn't going to help. So I'm going to have to go the emulator option. There's outfits, you can find them on eBay and online, low end between $275 and $400 to get yourself an emulator programmed up. The reason why I'm not going that route, two reasons. I'm so far into this job, I want to give it a shot to see if that $10 motor will do it. The other reason is those emulators I have heard do fail sometime. And if the emulator ever fails, you will then have to send your key and the ignition, the part that your key plugs into, to an outfit to program you up another emulator. So getting that ignition module could be a real pain in the ass to get out of the dash. So if I put a new motor in this little $10 motor I got on eBay, if that motor ever fails, I'll just crack this thing open again and stick another $10 motor in there. Keep in mind, I am not going to reinstall this into the steering column. It's just going to be hanging under the dash. I'm going to zip tie it in. Now, the reason why we can't get this out right now is that it's locked in here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drilling a hole right about there, a small hole. Then we're going to open up this, take this nut off, and then we're going to use a pick, and we're going to slowly dial the dial over. And then eventually this bolt will retract and we'll be able to pull this out of here. Now let me go over what kind of tools you guys are going to need for this job. I already got it laid out here. Let's see here. All right, so a couple of tools. You will need a 1/8 drill bit to drill the hole. That bolt, you're going to need either a 13 millimeter or a 1/2 inch wrench. The 1/2 inch seems to fit a little bit better, but sometimes people don't have both types of wrenches, so you could use either one. You're going to need a pick to move the dial around. And then once we get the ESL out, there's some holes with some pins, and we're going to have to drill out the holes a little bit and probably use a punch set to punch out those pins. And we'll get to that later. So let me go ahead and get this set up, and I'm going to show you how we're going to drill the hole. Okay, we're going to use a little punch here. All right, so we made a little punch there so our drill bit will catch. Now be really careful when you're making the drill hole. You don't want to go too far in and ruin that disc. There's a plastic disc in there. Use our wrench to get the bolt off. Okay, so we got the bolt off. Now you see how that bolt won't push in? We need to rotate the dial, and then that bolt will retract. See, we're almost there. We're almost there. Oh, we got it out. Yay. We got this module out. So you basically have to keep turning it until this retracts all the way. Wow, what an ordeal. Okay, so we got it out. See, so what happens is down here, there's a latch that comes out that goes into that slot, and that locks the steering column. All right, so this one failed in the lock position. That's why we couldn't get it out. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how we're going to open this up and try to replace the motor. All right, guys, we have the electronic security lock here in the vise. There are 4 pins that hold this ESL together. There's one here, and then 2 more on the other side. So I'm going to try to drill them out. So that's going to be my course of action on this, is to drill it out. And I'll figure out how to refasten it together. Maybe I'll put rivets in there or something, or glue it or whatever. All right, so let me go ahead and get the drill out. Okay, I drilled out those pins. There we go. Just caught up just a little bit on this side. There we go. All right, we got it out. We got it apart. And the good news is it looks like we did not damage the board. And we're going to need a specialty screwdriver. I think this is a T10. So we're going to go ahead and take that one out. Okay, so we got that one out. Take that screw out. Perfect. Okay, now the board should come out. I noticed on the board it's a little charred right here. All right, so here is the motor, and I've got the new motor. I ordered it off of eBay. Here is the part number, F71050. We're going to pull that old motor off and put that new one right there. Now the whole reason behind doing this is that this module, this board, is programmed to communicate with the ignition switch where you plug the key in. And by just changing out the motor, the car's going to still think that everything's okay here. Because if we just got a whole new module with a new board, we'd have to get this program to communicate with the ignition switch. Pull the motor off. Just kind of wiggle it off there. Yeah, ooh, that looks pretty dark. All right, I got it all put back together, and I put it in the locked position because that's the way it was the last time the car worked. Because I don't know if it'll make a difference or not. Now there was enough friction on this one that I drilled to hold the box together, but the other 3 are all drilled out. So in the comments section, write down what you think we should use to seal this back up. I'm thinking I'm going to use some pop rivets. We changed out the bad motor in this electronic security device for this Mercedes-Benz W204. I did have to drill out those pins that were in the old one, but what I did was I just put in pop rivets, one here, And then I kind of chewed up the hole a little bit right there when I was drilling, so we're not going to do anything. And then I put a pop rivet here, so it's all secure. Now I am not going to reinstall this into the steering column. I'm going to put the steering column back in the car. I'm going to plug the wire, the harness that goes into here, and I'm going to zip tie this somewhere under the dash. So the car is going to think that this is working, and the car will start. Now, if this fix that I tried doesn't work, I'm going to have to go the emulator route. So stay tuned for the next video when we put this in the car and get it all set up and see if it works. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Remember, we're almost at 500 subscribers, so please consider subscribing. Thank you. Bye-bye.